You're watching and listening to the episode of Leaders and Engineers. Today we are broadcasting from Senos headquarters in Riga, Latvia. My name is Neutron, and today our guest is an expert in physics, in particular fluid and gas dynamics, electromagnetism, magnetohydrodynamics and numerical methods, and entrepreneurship. He is a doctor of physics and graduate of Mini-MBA program with about 16 years of experience in physics, in the fluid and gas dynamics and software simulations related to these topics. He worked at such organizations as Argonne National Laboratory in Lemont, Illinois, United States, at Swiss Neutron source at Paul Scherrer Institute in Switzerland, and University of Latvia and its branch Institute of Numerical Modeling. He received Werner von Siemens Excellence Award from Siemens for the best PhD thesis in applied science. He is also a winner of the pitch competition at Digital Freedom Festival, organized by San Francisco-based fund 500 Startups. And in 2017, he co-founded a startup called Senos, which received its first fundings from American fund 500 Startups, Estonian fund Startup Wise Guys, and some Baltic business angels. He lives in Latvia and currently is CEO of Senos, a company developing 3D simulation software for radio frequency induction heating and wireless charging simulations, which is used by such companies, to name few, as Volkswagen, ThyssenKrupp, and Taylor Winfield. Please meet Dr. Mihails Ščepanskis.
Hello. Hello.
So how do you do?
It was pretty interesting to listen my biography from site. Yeah, thank you. I'm doing good.
Was it all accurate?
Yeah.
Or would you add something?
Some things I already forgot actually, but that was pretty accurate. I think, yes.
You know, it happens quite often. People put up somewhere in the internet and there are some traces. And then when I bring up them, it's kind of like surprise.
You did good job, actually.
So we are at the headquarters of Senos. And the building is former faculty of physics and mathematics of the University of Latvia. So did you make them an offer they couldn't refuse? So they had to leave?
Actually, the fun fact, I used to be a researcher, senior researcher at the university, and my office was right here. And then actually university built the new campus. Actually, that was the idea, just to before that the different faculties were scattered in the city, and now they built a new campus and collected all faculties at one place, actually several buildings. And yeah, they left this building, and I just rented this floor. Just change the shield from the laboratory that I used to work to the company.
So you actually made them rental offer?
Yes, of course I did. Actually, yes, I did. I did make the offer, and they accepted that. And after that, they began just renting out to other companies as well. But we were the first tenants.
Mm-hmm. I see. So, as I mentioned, we are in Riga, in headquarters, but the another office you have in Mexico. Why Mexico?
It's a long story, but telling it short, we tried to, from almost day one, we tried to attract American customers. We even went to US for a couple of exhibitions because it's a great market, but we didn't succeed in that. Although we got the first customer in Mexico, and then the second customer in Mexico, the third, and then we realized that we need actually local support for North American time zone. But that was the first time I visited Mexico. I was really impressed, not only about the food and culture, but also about the quantity, quality, and motivation of engineers there. It's pretty interesting, actually. I guess in Europe and in US, engineering what used to be a job where you can get to social validator, meaning that if you were like, low income, from low income family, you can educate yourself as an engineer and go to the upper class. It used to be probably in 70s. Not anymore. Although in Mexico, as well as some other emerging countries, it's still there. So young people perceive engineering profession as a social lift, and it is so. And this is the reason why a lot of young, motivated, and talented people choose engineering studies. Actually, like Tec de Monterrey is, I think, top 25 engineering schools in the world. It's Mexican. And just summing that all up, we, at one point of our development, of the company development, we felt necessity to have engineering support in the North American time zone. And instead of just deploying resources in the US, I decided to do that in Mexico. I'm pretty happy with that decision.
So you have their support function, or you have R&D, so to say?
In Mexico, it's only support. For now, it's only support. We tried sales. It didn't work out to have sales, local sales resources. Probably we'll come back to that sales sometime later, but not R&D for now. At least it's only support.
Mm-hmm. Well, you had never thought before you tried. So this kind of along your journey, you get some kind of interesting input that now you have clients in Mexico and you set up office there.
Oh, although actually the first customers in North America were Mexican companies. Mm-hmm. But now 25% of all our revenue comes from US. It's the same, another 25 from Germany. So those two countries are the biggest, actually, the biggest, have the biggest portfolio of customers for us. So even I said that it's Mexico, but the goal is to support mostly US customers.
Okay. Now I would suggest you to try something different from maybe other podcasts or interviews that you might have encountered before. What I would suggest is to try a mock-up of the job interview. So we will imagine that you're applying for a leadership position.
Okay.
In a company which doesn't exist. It's an imaginary company.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, position and product doesn't exist as well. And we will do this in this format. So I'm like HR, recruiter, and you're applying. And this way, people who are listening and watching us will see the flow of the typical job interview, but also will get to know your view on different topics.
I have to admit, I have never applied to a normal job. I used to be a scientist and then became entrepreneur. So I'm pretty curious where it will go. Maybe I will fail, actually, in the job interview.
Well, then we should try. There is no fail or pass. This is just the way we do this. And I will say also at some point that the job interview is over. And after that, I'll ask your feedback. How did you feel?
Okay.
But probably you hired, right? So you can be relating and comparing. And it's a bit of my experience as well, because I used to hire lots of people and being hired myself. So you ready?
Okay, let's go.
All right. Hello, Mihails.
Hello.
Thank you for applying for a CEO position in our software simulation company. And our research shows that instead of diplomacy, wars could be prevented and differences settled by public boxing matches between politicians. And our company is developing a software that makes a 3D simulation of politicians fighting in the boxing ring. and evaluates their chances to win based on their physical attributes, training, and strategic acumen. And to give you a better idea, I'll show you the picture, how it looks like. You will see this on your screens.
Okay.
So basically, these two politicians fighting on the ring, and this image, by the way, was generated by Stable Diffusion AI, to whom I gave basically this prompt. An interesting part was that when I asked to generate this prompt, I wrote two politicians in suits are having a boxing match against each other in boxing ring. And then by default, it gave me one black man and another white man. So I assume the Stable Diffusion is trained on the American set and supports this kind of diversity, minimizing bias. All right. So my first question would be, why have you decided to apply for this position?
When I was at university, a friend of mine was from the boxing. I was running, but actually once he asked me to come to his boxing training, and I got beaten. At that moment, I said myself that I really want to train. I want to train and I want to be stronger. Actually, that I really did that for a few years, and I just took part in one not really competition, but just match, and that was enough for me. What I want to say that actually that time I experienced that boxing is really something that need full concentration, but it's also show how you will act in the stressful situation. I like it. So I think just talking about politicians, I think then you put, no, I'm also part of society, and I follow all political things in our country and in the world, of course. Especially we see that it's of great importance nowadays. I think I really like the idea to put actually politicians in the boxing ring and really that prevent them from bullshitting, and that just put them in the situation they will say what they really are. So the idea is brilliant, but I don't want just to give AI opportunity to do that only. I think that should be human, and that should be really good professional to lead this kind of company towards success, because the mission is there. The mission is quite important for society, and I guess I'm good on making this mission happen in the best way.
All right. Now let's move a bit away from the product the company is doing, and let's talk about your experience. And you've been very consistent with what you've been doing for the last 16 years. You are in physics domain. And my question is, when have you realized that this is what you want? Was it, it doesn't have to be like before, maybe you went to physics to try and then you realized this is mine, or it happened before? How you arrived on this path?
It wasn't so consistent like it probably looks so. Well, okay, back in the first grade of school, my best friend and I were inventing time machine.
Sorry, which machine?
Time machine.
Time machine.
Yes.
Okay.
No, really. So, I mean, I was fond of physics.
So you're still here.
You see, I was fond of physics that time, but then I went to study physics at university. During that studies, I changed different things. So I was in art, in contemporary art. I even have had the exhibition. I tried myself as a creator, at an exhibition organizer. Then I worked at investment bank, as a financial analyst. And then crisis happened, 2009, financial crisis. That was the year that I finished my study. And I wrote my diploma. I was pretty proud of that. After that, I decided to make PhD in physics just to continue. I came back to science. I decided to come back to science. I liked it, so I spent PhD time at University of Latvia. That was pretty cool time. I was lucky to have a very good professor who encouraged young students to travel, to participate in conferences, to participate in the international programs and projects. So I traveled quite a lot, and that was career path afterwards. That career ended up at Argonne National Laboratory, which you already mentioned, in the United States, outside of Chicago, and that was like all this time during PhD and a couple of years after was very linear. And I even said that I might be a scientist. I might just build a scientific career. Then I quit and found my own startup, which is about engineering and science.
Did you quit because you wanted to found startup, or it happened just at the time?
Yes and no. Basically, well, just looking back, there was I went to United States. I spent there half a year at National Laboratory, but that was mind-changing experience, just United States in general. And I think I quit because I found myself entrepreneurial, meaning that I understood that I'm not actually that scientist. Look, okay, that's my personal opinion, but I believe, well, what is the asset scientists have? Like, what is the goal of any scientist? Scientists are building their own authority and reputation. So science is all about reputation. So you write papers, you take part in the conferences, and you were judged about the reputations. And actually, the better reputation you have, the better projects you can get, the better score, the probably academic positions like professor and so on. But because of that, since the reputation is quite important, you cannot bullshit. You cannot say what that means. You cannot say anything really visionary. You cannot say anything that you cannot prove. I spent half a year trying to negotiate one paper with my American co-authors. After that half year in the United States, my co-authors was from Argonne National Laboratory. And we were literally fighting about every word in that paper because I want to say something that I cannot really prove by data, but of course I can just write disclaimer and say that my personal opinion, but I want to put something visionary. What is that about? I mean, we were not just conducting experiment only for experiment. We're conducting to just to establish some direction of science, right? And I want to talk about that. My co-founders were so afraid and scared about their reputation if they put any words which are not based on data, which they cannot prove in data. So that was this turning moment. So I understood that I'm not very much comfortable with science, this kind of science. I do not care about my personal reputation so much. But at the same time, I did right after accidentally I discovered Startup Vault and understood that what startup is about. We're selling future. We're selling future that doesn't exist and is not proved by data. We're just selling our vision, and we can bullshit whatever we want. And I'm pretty comfortable with that.
But if I understood correctly, basically what you say is that the fact that on one hand that you care about reputation, you cannot bullshit, but this is how you, of course, get trust. when people say we listen to science, and this is not some kind of conspiracy theories, but on the other hand, this is what is limiting at some extent innovation, or going like to making really disruptive things.
That's true. Well, if you would ask Elon Musk to prove that he can fly to Mars, there will be no data he can prove that. But it did not hold him back from claiming that SpaceX goal is to actually fly to Mars.
But in this regard, I have a very important question to you. Now we are living in an era of increased number of EMF sources, electromagnetic field sources, including radio frequency, radio fields, and especially with the 5G, and by 2030 they will be coming 6G. And do you see, or not just if you see, but what kind of risks you see with this expansion? I mean, because this is kind of commercial part, it's being implemented all around. And do we need to have in these areas some sort of rigidity of science to understand all the impact? Or it's fine to go with disruption and just implement it?
No, I'm just trying to think why electromagnetic sources and magnetic stuff can be dangerous or can influence anything. I'm not fond of regulation. We shouldn't stop innovation, I guess. We should not. I think there are much more dangerous things, like the same AI, what you mentioned. But because it's tried to replicate the human behavior. But if we talk about just magnetic technologies, I don't see any dangerous things there. Do you?
Well, I'm not the one who is being interviewed. But I, to be honest, I see this as not so conclusive, to be honest. If I read the papers, what is basically published by different scientists around the globe, it's a kind of, it looks like kind of mixed perception. So I'm not in this field, of course. I'm just asking this question because you know much better about electromagnetism and you are a doctor of physics. But from what I've seen, it seems to me that still a lot needs to be researched.
No doubts about that. But what I want to say that there is nothing dangerous there. Definitely. And everybody could say anything dangerous. It's the most probably just lack of understanding things.
Okay. So you also started your Mini-MBA shortly after you co-founded Xenos. Was it, are these two things connected, that you started your business, your startup, and then you felt that you're missing some knowledge and you wanted to take MBA?
Yes, that's true. Well, then I found my company. Just everything is new, and I educated myself quite a lot. But to one moment, of course, I was thinking that actually more academic education would help me, and I applied to that Mini-MBA. Honestly, I was pretty much disappointed, and I believe that the success of my company and like the path of my company demonstrate my ability to manage and my leadership better than my diploma of Mini-MBA.
So basically, if I understood correctly, you had practical experience, and those who were teaching, not so much of this kind of experience.
Yes, that practical experience turned out to be more important rather than that Mini-MBA program.
I remember myself as in the university curriculum, to engineering curriculum, there was some additional kind of business modules, and we as engineers and probably also as scientists were not so we were taking this like as a common sense, not some kind of like extra maybe knowledge. How do you think these things, do they need to be formally taught, or it's rather that the person needs to try and then learn this way?
Could you be more precise what kind of courses you speak about?
Well, let's say I, for instance, had this kind of creativity and innovation.
Yeah, okay.
Or,
So my personal opinion is that leadership and management, even management of science or management of innovation, it's just management. And that means that it's all about psychology of people. So I don't think you can teach that, especially if a student has no practical experience. The same like how you can teach entrepreneurship. You can give some framework, you can give some models, but it's pretty useless unless it is applied. So that's why probably the best MBA programs, executive MBA programs, and they require some experience in the leadership position for the few years prior to it's like a precondition to apply to this MBA. So that's why I would say again, so that practical experience is more important. Although I have to admit that those courses might be useful just to put to put experience and information that's already achieved in some kind of framework, and to give him or her more credit to act quicker with no doubts.
And now I want to move back to Xenos and what you're developing. And now we have a lot of discussions about AI, and there are different tools, especially it was triggered by this generative AI, ChatGPT, and those alike. How do you see this could be connected with the software simulation for, let's say, electromagnetism topics?
It's a very good question, indeed. Actually, there are a lot of discussion about that in the market right now, and I see even some companies just doing quite a lot actually in AI direction. Just let's be simple. First, I do not think that in the following few years AI will replace simulation. No. Just because AI cannot just think out of the box, so you need to train that in some scope of models, and actually simulation simulates physics, and that's the reason why it can simulate even out of the box. You just give the model, it simulates. So can it be trained? Yes, but the amount of data is enormous, and we just don't have so much simulation data. But of course, AI can help users to save time, to avoid mistakes on setting up the models, because, like, again, in our company, we know very well that about 90% of all wrong results is caused because it's like kind of human factor. So engineer just set up wrong simulation case, enter wrong data, and then if you enter shit, you get shit. So AI can help on this. And again, so I believe that the place of AI mostly is to help users to avoid mistakes and to save also time to set up the case, but not to replace the simulation technology or finite element method itself.
Mm-hmm. Now we're talking a bit about different types of simulations. You are more focused on applied science simulations, or more like closer to engineering. But we have example with the Large Hadron Collider at CERN, which is in Switzerland and France. Mm-hmm. And it's not the first one. Before, the largest was in the United States. But then there was this need for further experiments to create the larger one. And now CERN proposes to build even more powerful particle accelerator called Future Circular Collider, with the cost of building ranging from 9 to 21 billion euro. Where do you see the limit of this research? These kind of things, can they be simulated, or we have to actually, I don't know, maybe for the fundamental science to actually build testing grounds?
I think, simulation is misunderstood. Actually, simulation, okay, just let me try to explain. There will be a bit longer. But there is the real world, then there is the physical model, which are equations, basically. And then there is the numerical model, which is simulation. So if you imagine tree, how it is in the real world, like beautiful tree with a lot of branches, leaves, and so on, then physical model will describe, equations will describe that tree as the just triangle leaves, very straight branches, like that. So it's already some kind of simplification, right? And then the numerical model will simplify that even more. But the biggest, you can simulate whatever. You can build whatever physical model, you can simulate whatever. But always there will be the question whether it's relevant to your real world situation or not. And that in order to understand whether it's relevant or not, you need to run experiment. Or you need to run experiments in order to verify models and to be sure that those models represent the real world and your simplification was not like too simple. Like one example is Newton physics of unit mechanics wrong? No, it is not wrong, right? It's pretty excellently described how things happen, happen on Earth. But Einstein just built relativism theory, where the correction would happen just close to massive objects, say, in the universe, right? So again, those like two models which kind of contradict each other, but in fact, each of them applicable to their own situation. But you need experiments in order to understand whether your model is applicable to this particular situation or not, and how far you can extrapolate actually the applicants of your model. So no contradictions there. You can simulate whatever and everything, but you need experiments, even such expensive experiments, to verify.
You just mentioned this relativity theory of Einstein, and this is also formulated in the equations. But this is the question. They want to build at CERN larger Hadron Collider, but at some point they cannot build any more larger. There will be a certain limitation, right? So do we then will it be possible to take theories and kind of extrapolate from what we already know by using simulations and using maybe AI enhancing this?
No, AI definitely not. I mean, AI, you need to train the AI to do anything.
But if it's generative AI, which creates new data?
No, I understand what you mean, but still, it's create data within the box you train. So it can interpolate, it cannot extrapolate. Or well, of course, it can extrapolate, but it won't be trustful extrapolation. I mean, extrapolation doesn't work in general. You cannot extrapolate anything. No, of course you can, but it will be not trustful unless you run some kind of experiments to prove that this extrapolation works. That's why I think, the simulation AI, I think work very well for interpolation, but for extrapolation, you need verification. And this is exactly the reason why experimental physics still exists and will exist forever.
All right. And continuing with the simulation topic, on your website, and you also mentioned in the number of interviewers in your speech that your vision, the goal is to democratize access to the simulation software for engineers around the globe, engineers, scientists. So let's imagine that it happened. Everyone has access to simulations. The vision achieved, the goal has been achieved. What limitations or what challenges you see? I mean, for instance, I will give you an example. There will be more use, it's resource intensive, can be going big and bigger, and then will be probably demanding more hardware. This is the first thing. And the other thing is, how do you see this could be connected with the cloud computing?
It's already connected with cloud computing. Well, in general, the philosophy is pretty simple. So we already have, like everybody have a laptop or PC, and we just want to give you opportunity to run simulation on your hardware, which you already have. Although if you hit the limit of your hardware, then of course cloud computing will be in place. I mean, you can.
Do you already have it, or you plan in Xenos to put this?
We do not have that as a service yet. So we have it in R&D phase. We will launch very soon. It's a matter of a few months. But again, so it won't be like cloud only. So we believe and we see that engineers still want to run simple, small simulation on their PC. At least it's cheaper. It is more efficient in terms of like time. It's more convenient. But once they hit the limit of their hardware, of course they need to have just a simple button to run it in cloud.
And speaking about the development of the Xenos as a whole, I noticed on your LinkedIn page the recommendations you have given, and you have given to one of the venture investor who believed in you, and you were thanking the person. But there you mentioned that during your angel investment rounds, you faced challenge with, as you phrased, nobody understands what Xenos is doing. And how did you overcome this challenge, and what were the other challenges you faced as the co-founder of the startup?
No, that's actually true. Yes, it was pretty. I think it's a common problem for every deep tech, really like true deep tech founder, to explain what the company is about, what you're doing for VC, because average VC is not really. I try to find the right words now. I mean, they do not want to understand a lot of things. Like 95, well, it's my personal opinion. All disclaimers, my personal opinion, but 95% of all VCs do not want to think out of the box. So they try to find some forms or common patterns, and this is the reason why they follow trends, buzzwords, And probably that's the reason why 95% of all VCs are unsuccessful.
They want to play it safe.
But it's not about, like, what is VC about? It's not about playing safe. It's not about minimizing risk. And that is what 95% of all VCs do. They minimize risk. Now, VC is about maximizing gain, not minimizing risk. I personally believe that there are a lot of VCs who are not entrepreneurs themselves. And entrepreneur is the only person who maximizes gain instead of minimizing risk. And this is the reason why a lot of people minimize risk. VC is supposed to maximize gain, not to minimizing risk. And the one thing, and the second, I mean, it's really common that the VCs are afraid of product risk. So, like they are, and this is the reason why they hesitate to invest in truly disruptive companies. By disruptive, I mean, okay, I will give you an example. Just market exists, for example, cars. And then you come and say, okay, I have electronic vehicle, I have an electronic car. So VC can estimate what is the market size. They can estimate how quick you might be in penetrating that market. So they will just give you estimates of the share of the market you will get in 5-10 years. And this is what they like. Okay, they see you have technology which is different from existing. The market already exists. Whatever. But if you come and say, I will create a new market, a new segment, which did not exist, they struggle to estimate how big that market can be, how quick you can penetrate that market. And that is risk they are afraid of. So this
a bit contradictory, isn't it? I mean, if you go by definition, read all those books, what is the startup? And this is exactly what is expected. Compared to normal business, the startup should be disrupting, creating some new market potentially.
This is how it is. So actually, it's not my words. That was one honest VC explained me pretty honestly that.
But you still managed to get those VCs on board. Was it about, I mean, you were lucky, or you actually worked hard to convince them? And I mean, was it like those particular VCs were also in the beginning skeptical, and then at some point they said, okay, this sounds good?
I would say that I was, still am, persistent and fair. So, well, yeah, actually, my investors are not afraid of accepting the challenges or market risks. I really believe that those my investors actually are pretty good at what they're doing. I think it's quite important to not say what typical VC expect from you to say. So just be persistent on what you are doing, and that is. And actually, the reason why my investors really like what we do, because we're just proving the leadership are proving what we do makes sense, and we are pretty consequent at what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Also, I noticed you mentioned about your go-to-market strategy. Basically, you mentioned that it was non-standard. Could you please elaborate what was non-standard about your go-to-market strategy?
Okay. Well, it's very typical, especially in VC-funded companies, is that you just find one segment which works for you, and then you double down on it. you just get as much as you can in one particular segment. So basically, if you narrow and then penetrate. But there should be a right time for that. So the penetration pace depends on how that market or that segment is ready to uptake your technology or innovation. That might be objective, might be subjective. But the difference with Sinus is that we understand that actually simulation software is it's probably still not 100%, like a market is not 100% ready to uptake simulation software everywhere. So we are trying to make democratization, but actually not all engineers are ready to do that. But it will come, that's for sure. And we will see that trend, but probably in like 5 years. So that's why our goal is to, instead of just focusing very narrowly and then penetrating in, where we see a lot of startups just that, but we want to technologically ensure good position in multiple, in wide area, and then get the right timing to penetrate more aggressively.
Now the questions I will ask you, they were generated by ChatGPT.
Okay.
So basically what I did, I have told to ChatGPT, you are my HR assistant. This is my company, what we are doing. This is product we are releasing, and I'm hiring CEO. And please, and also I gave basically same ways I described you input, that where you started, that you're expert in this and that field, and ask ChatGPT to generate questions.
Cool.
So here are the questions from ChatGPT. How do you envision applying your expertise in fluid and gas dynamics, electromagnetism, magnetohydrodynamics, and numerical methods to the development of simulation software for political boxing matches?
Well, actually, simulation. It doesn't matter what do you simulate. I'm good at bringing product to the market and to the point where I'm sure that actually this is exactly what customers need. So it doesn't matter whether it's financial, boxing, or fluid dynamic. It's product management, and this is what I have been doing for 6.5 years of my life, and I will master that in the future.
It's actually an interesting point, because on one hand you developing software, but on the other hand you apply expertise from the physics side.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you put more your R&D focus? Is it from the software side development, or from the so to say applied science?
Well, the technology we use at Sinus, it's not so much you can develop in physics. Although it doesn't mean that. Well, okay, you need to find right models, and it's all about just literature study and understanding. And you need, of course, to know physics in order to understand and evaluate which model will work the best. But the almost majority of models already exist somewhere in open source, in closed source, universities and papers. Yes, it's more on finding the right and for supplying modern software development strategies for that.
Okay. And speaking about this simulation software, In what ways do you envision that simulation software integrating with such technologies as virtual reality and augmented reality?
Yeah, I don't see that.
Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't see engineers wearing some glasses and manipulating, doing some...
No, it sounds good. It sounds cool. It sounds nice. That might be nice to have. I just don't see it's necessary.
All right. Now, another question about from ChatGPT, but which I would have also definitely asked you. Can you share a challenging leadership situation you have faced and how you handled it?
So which to start with? Well,
The toughest, probably.
layouts. It's probably the most challenging. I was in a situation then. When I raised seed round, I probably estimated to the majority of product in the wrong way, and I increased expenditure in just trying to scale business. It didn't work out. We quickly figure out that the product is the problem. Then we try to rebuild or redesign the product while continue selling. But at one moment, I understood that so we cannot continue with the same spending, and that was even the time that you still could believe you can raise. But I decided to cut expenses and to make business profitable. That was pretty tough because you need to manage your expectations. You manage to perhaps even give up some kind of your dreams or postpone them for the sake of healthiness of the company. I used to have 37 people in the company, and after layouts and cuts, I ended up with 18. Some of people just left themselves because they didn't hold the pressure, and I still believe that's my failure. Now we have 22 people in the company with pretty good unit economy actually, and I'm actually proud of being able to conduct this, I would say, business normalization process. When you cut inefficiency, then you you make business more efficient.
Mm-hmm. So it was actually also explanation in the recent layoffs for the big software companies like Microsoft, Facebook, and so on in the United States. One of the explanation was that they overhired in the good times.
I totally understand that. So I remember myself in the situation that I have 1 million, like more than 1 million, in the bank account, and you are hiring the person for whatever position, and you have two candidates, and you can decide which is better, and you hire both of them just because you have money. That's absolutely understandable. And actually, the cost of money was so low. I mean, money cost almost nothing, and that situation was pretty favorable for this kind of stupid decisions or the inefficiencies. Now we have pretty expensive capital that we need to be capital efficient, and actually the demand for capital efficiency is quite much higher. So again, nothing was wrong at that time. Just the cost of capital was different, and that is.
Now I want to give you use case, and there will be a challenge follow-up questions for that use case, or just also to say user story. In a world where political disputes were traditionally settled through diplomatic negotiations, a visionary company named Specify Dynamics emerged with an audacious vision to replace wars with a more unconventional form of resolution, politicians engaging in a boxing match to settle their differences. At the forefront of this transformative endeavor was the CEO, Dr. Markus Turner, a former physicist with a passion for peace and belief in the power of non-traditional solutions. As Specify Dynamics gained recognition, the company faced the ongoing challenge of maintaining the integrity of matches. Dr. Turner led the development of advanced simulation software that could accurately predict the outcome of political boxing matches based on the participants' physical attributes, training, and strategic acumen. The simulations became a crucial tool in shaping public perception and demonstrating the potential for resolving conflicts in a controlled and symbolic manner. As Specified Dynamics gained momentum, Dr. Turner faces a myriad of leadership challenges. The first hurdle is convincing skeptics, both within the company and in the broader public, of the viability and legitimacy of the company's mission. How would you approach that?
Approach what? So the situation where, I'm struggling to understand my task now. So
basically, the mission, I would rephrase, the mission of the company is through the boxing matches to convince people to resolve their differences, or the politicians to resolve the difference through the boxing matches.
Mm-hmm.
But then they are just starting, and there are skeptics within the company and outside. So how would you convince them that they should do this? And
they had nothing to lose, actually. No, really, okay, you can be skeptical, for sure, but it's nothing to lose to try out.
You can get injured or get killed.
But it's still a cheaper way to resolve the conflict. And I guess always there are skeptics. Always, for whatever you do, there will be skeptics. And it's a good question whether we need to convince all of them or not. At least the answer is not. We do not need to convince. They will convince themselves after then you show the result. What you really need to do is to convince just sufficient portion in the beginning. So just starting from the small portion and then just running the technology, running the boxing. So the next portion will see results and they will convince themselves. So, okay, my recipe will be, let's not focus on convincing everybody, but let's define the target audience, the small portion which we can convince the most, and why we can convince them most, focus on them.
Perfect. But this is like a broad topic of the change management and can be applied to the public, but also as well within the companies. And nowadays it's quite common situation, disputes between should it be hybrid ways of working or everyone should be sitting in the office. What's your take on this?
I'm for freedom. So, I really believe that nobody can push nobody to do anything that they don't want to. Meaning that, so there should be opportunity for people to work wherever they want. But of course, I also believe that actually being in office is quite important, especially for new teams, to be able just to work together and to form a team. But from the company perspective, we should not push that. We should make the environment that they want to come to office themselves. It's important. So, yeah, I'm for the soft measures mostly.
But why do you think Elon Musk, when he came to Twitter, which is now X, famously pushed everyone to come back to the office?
That's exactly what I said. So basically, the efficient teams, how to build efficient team. So you need to build horizontal relations between people. You need to build trust between people, and the only way to do that is just to increase the amount of time they communicate to each other, and number of topics they communicate about. Right. So if you are fully remote, of course, you can just do like 10 Zooms per day, but that will be only professional. But if you're in office, you need to communicate just because somebody forgot to wash their dishes or whatever else. And it just increase the number of touch points between people and increase their ability to work together and to know each other. That's the only reason.
Now, another question also connected to the leadership and management, or maybe like the work environment. Let's imagine you are working in the company and you've been working there for 5 years and you don't get promoted all this time. But many of other employees also don't. Will you find this frustrating?
Well, now, what's promotion? I mean, well, okay, there are multiple directions, and it's quite important. I mean, why do you do what you do? The promotion is an instrument to do something. So yes, of course, if you need that promotion to do something, fine. Okay, just let me try to. That's probably not the best way I answer it. The position itself or title means nothing. It's just what you can do and what you need to do. Every person, as well as the organization in general, should have mission, and we can contribute mission without promotion as well. And that's that. I don't know. I never was seeking promotion or career. That's probably why I'm an entrepreneur, not making career in the big companies.
But speaking about motivation, so let's say there are no these promotions, or maybe there is, but in general, how would you approach this topic? How would you motivate your team to do their best, and will you go give them speech? So
no, of course, everybody needs to be recognized for what they have accomplished, for sure. But promotion is just one particular example of recognition. The salary increase is another way to recognize person. Sometimes it's just giving more or more challenging tasks is also the way to recognize. But in general, I believe that salary is supposed to be so that the person is adequately, the person, he or she can satisfy all needs.
Mhm.
And this is like a Maslow pyramid. So if you satisfy the lowest part of the Maslow pyramid, you go to that ego part. And for ego, you do not need promotion, you need mission. Mission and mission that can be accomplished, and recognition for the missions accomplished. Promotion is just one of the instruments. Can be in place and can be not. It doesn't matter.
Can you say that in your company, all 22 people are having same vision and moving in the same direction?
Of course not. I mean, that would be too boring. It's like diversity is quite important. I appreciate diversity of opinions, and I really love then people are fighting against me. This is what I'm expecting. Sometimes I can just come with some crazy ideas, and I really expect that people will resist it, will patiently.
Not in the boxing match.
Not in the boxing match, indeed.
Mm-hmm. One another quite common example in big companies, so not small probably. Your employee goes around and complains about you, but when you go and talk to that person, he or she tells you that everything is okay, everything is fine, and this is not like true, but you feel your trust is shaken. So how do you recover trust, or how do you handle the situation?
I hate this. I really hate this. I'm looking.
Have you had this kind of situation, by the way?
I don't remember that right away. Probably yes, but not like so straightforward. But in general, I really acknowledge people who are brave enough just to be not just to say against something to you. So just to be fair with themselves, and I always recognize that. I'm okay if somebody fight with me. I'm okay if somebody have different opinion. I'm not okay if he or she have different opinion, but do not tell that, but tell somewhere else.
So if you see this in your company, that would be kind of zero tolerance trigger.
Not necessarily. Well, it should be. It's all. It's also failure of the culture. I mean, it's not just the matter of the person. Sometimes it is, but it's not only the matter of the person, the matter of the culture in the company. So if the culture of the company is so that like 95% of all people are good just to say directly their opinions and 5% not, that most probably it's not the matter of culture, and those 5% should be gone. But it's like a 50-50, and it's a matter of culture, and you need to just change that culture. And there are some very simple, straightforward methods how to improve this kind of culture. It's a failure tolerance in general. So you need to build a failure tolerance. So you need to allow people to fail. Because the expression of the opinion that correlate with opportunity to fail, because you express something might be wrong, and your manager just give you opportunity to fail, to do that and to fail, and then you feel yourself safe to fail, and you unleash any creativity even more.
Can you tell me what are the top 3 things that you think you need to improve as a leader? I mean, yourself.
Well, okay. First, let things go.
I mean, not to be too much attached emotionally.
Yes, well, it's very typical that you start pushing things that you cannot really change that. So you need to be tolerant to the fact that you cannot influence everything. That's pretty hard. I think I already am much better over the last year or two. Actually, since my daughter arrived, that's changed me quite a lot, especially in this direction. The first thing. So the second thing is exactly what I mentioned already, just to allow people fail. I want to say that I also on a good path on that, but I want to be better. And the last thing, I'm hustling myself, and I frequently expect others to do like I am, but in fact, it's pretty hard to accept differences. So I wish to do better on this.
Great. And the final question in this job interview, not in the whole interview, what is your salary expectation?
Look, so we are just starting a new project, right? So I do have level to cover all my daily expenses, but I'm ready to talk about upside in the form of percentages, options, whatever.
All right. So if you talk about startup,
Yes. No, I mean, but even in the big companies, I guess it's also okay. Just I will. So if you ask me, so I will negotiate hardly upside, not the base salary.
Mhm. Okay. So we're done with the job interview, and now it's time for the feedback. How did you feel? Was it similar? Would you use the same approach if you hire, I don't know, some head of the engineering or science team?
No idea. No, I will probably, if I will be really in this kind of job interview, I will never be in this kind of job interview because I really cannot apply to the job where I totally do not believe in product or and this boxing stuff. It's just bullshit in my opinion. I really don't like it at all. So I won't be there for sure. So that's why, maybe I even just intentionally would fail this interview. I don't know, did I answer or not?
Yes, you did. But you're also hiring, and probably you hired for some, I don't know, you have kind of like department head or like senior or divisions. So when you hired, were you focusing on this, was this similar questions or it was some other approach, or how did you handle this basically?
I need one precondition from everybody who applied to the senior position. It's we need to be at the same page for the product, for the future. So the person should be passionate in what we're doing and why we're doing. And this is exactly what I'm going to check. So, just some personal skills or experience, whatever can be checked in LinkedIn, CV, whatever. But this is that. So if I'm hiring like CTO or CS or whatever, like C position, or even VP position, I need to work with this person personally. And I think it's pretty good excuse to be like very subjective in the interview. I need to be sure that we will work together towards one goal and build one company on the front. That's very subjective. I think this kind of interviews are very subjective and supposed to be.
But I agree with you. But do you then rely on the probation period to get some kind of additional insights?
The more and more I rely just on my understanding of the people, of the person. Yes.
But if you say in the percentage, what's the success rate? I mean, you trusted your instincts when you saw the person, and it was the right person.
Over the last the couple of years is pretty good. I cannot just now think of anybody who I hired, but the failure wasn't exactly this. So I'm pretty happy that I. But it's not like you conduct one job interview and then you're done. So no, it's not. The best thing is just to try to work together. You can imagine some test case, some test task, and just do that.
Okay.
Like I hired once, I think it was 2 years ago, I hired designer, UX UI designer. It's quite an important role actually. And I hired not so senior person with not so huge experience, but we just started working together. So I gave one and then second task, and it doesn't matter what is the result of that task for me, but I was intentionally looking how the candidate communicates, what kind of question he or she asks, how I try to understand how he or she think, and whether there's a way of thinking is something that we can work together, and it will save time, not just bring more effort to explain things.
So it's opposite to, you can be a genius, but you can't be asshole, so to say. All right. The people who are watching and listening us, they are from different backgrounds and with the different levels of experience. But let's say to people who are starting, who are aspiring scientists, what advice would you give them?
Be opportunistic. Meaning that science and engineering, it's just tons of opportunities. But we need to recognize those opportunities. We need to see problems around us. And once you learn to see problems, not look the problem for your solution, then you are in the right path. Just love problems, not solutions. This is it's really generic what I said, but love problems, not solutions.
Thank you. And that was Dr. Mihails Ščepanskis in the episode of Leaders and Engineers. Thank you for watching and listening us.